And the question is, herbicide recommended for maize plus Blackgram intercropping system. So options given for this are pendimethalin, isoproteron, atrazine, butachlor. So the correct answer is pendimethalin because this is the pre-emergence herbicide specifically safe for both cereals as well as pulses. Okay, so when you are going for maize intercropped with any pulses like Blackgram, this particular herbicide can be recommended. Okay, so in intercropping, you need a broad spectrum herbicide, right? So they should not kill either crop. Okay, so pendimethalin 30% EC is generally recommended at 1 to 1.5 kg active ingredient per hectare. So that can be applied within 1 to 3 days after sowing. So that will work perfectly, right? And isoproteron, this will kill broadleaf pulses like blackgram and all, but it is generally toxic to legumes. And atrazine, it is only selective to maize, but phytotoxic to blackgram. Okay, and this is not used for the intercropping system. And the butachlor, it is specifically for the rice, and it requires the standing water. So it doesn't work in upland maize and pulse system. So the correct answer is pendimethalin. Okay, for cereal and pulses intercropping, always you should pick pendimethalin, and it is a dinitroanilin group. Okay, usually control annual grasses with the broadleaf weeds. Okay, and the next question is Loranthus is options for this are partial stem parasite, total stem, complete root, complete leaf parasite. So the correct answer is partial stem parasite. Okay, and we can also call it as hemiparasite. Remember one thing, C clause, like better you can remember like clause CLOS. Cuscuta, it is a total stem parasite. L, which is the Loranthus, that is a partial stem parasite. Then O, Orabank, which is the total root parasite. Then Striga, which is the partial root parasite. So this is how you can easily memorize it. Okay, clause CLOS. So this Loranthus usually grows on the branches of woody trees and extract water and other essential minerals from the host through the hostoria. Okay, so it is the partial stem parasite only. Okay, but it has green leaves and contains chlorophyll also. Okay, and this allows the Loranthus to manufacture its own food through the photosynthesis, but making it only partially dependent on its host. Okay, and the total stem parasite, that and all which is Cuscuta. So Loranthus will be dependent on mango, neem and all. Okay. And another thing is total stem parasite. Example is Cuscuta, mainly grow on lucerne, basim and all. Okay. And complete root parasite, the example is Orabank, mainly grows on tobacco, brinjal and all. Okay. And next one is partial root parasite is there, that is Striga, mainly grows on sugarcane, sorghum and all. Okay. The next question is, which herbicide is commonly recommended for sugarcane crop? And the options are atrazine, pendimethalin, butachlor, fluoralin. So the correct answer is A, atrazine. Yeah, this is the standard pre-emergence herbicide, mainly for sugarcane crop. And also, sugarcane crop has a natural tolerance to the particular herbicide atrazine due to the rapid detoxification by the enzyme in its body. Okay, it has a natural tolerance against this particular herbicide. That also you should know. And this herbicide usually control, broadleaf weeds as well as annual grasses and all. So generally, the 50% wettable powder can be recommended at 2 kg active ingredient per hectare. Okay, and this will be given as a spray within 1 to 3 days after planting. Okay. And pendimethalin, this option is wrong. Why is that? It is used in sugarcane as a tank mix. Okay. Uh, this will be used in the sugarcane crop as a tank mix with atrazine. But atrazine is the primary one. Okay. So pendimethalin alone will be used for cereal and pulses intercrop. You should remember, pendimethalin is for intercropping, cereal and pulses. Atrazine is alone used for sugarcane. And butachlor is generally rice herbicide. Okay, because it, as I already said, this requires the standing water. So here the sugarcane is the upland irrigated one, not a flooded one. And fluochloralin, this is the pre-plant incorporation herbicide, generally used in cotton pulses, but not generally recommended for the sugarcane due to crop injury risk. So the correct answer is atrazine. The next question is, which is the important pre-emergence herbicide used in rice cultivation? So the options for this are atrazine, butachlor, paraquat, propanil. So we have already discussed butachlor is the classic pre-emergence herbicide, specifically for the transplanted rice, right? And this can be applied at 3 to 5 days after transplanting or 1 to 2 days after sowing. Okay, because this particular herbicide requires the water, standing water, not a deep flooding water. And this herbicide controls Echinoclova grasceli, Echinoclova colonna, and annual sedges and all. Okay, and generally the 50% EC formulation can be recommended at 1 to 1.5 kg active ingredient per hectare. So butachlor is for rice. Okay, pendimethalin is for rice plus cereals. Atrazine is for sugarcane. Like that, you can remember. Maize and sugarcane. Atrazine. Atrazine is generally phytotoxic to rice, so it will kill the rice seedlings. So it is not recommended for the rice cultivation. Okay, as herbicide. And paraquat, which is the non-selective post-emergence contact herbicide. This is not a pre-emergence herbicide. This is the post-emergence herbicide. So after the weed comes, we will spray. This is not the pre-emergence. This is the post-emergence contact herbicide, and this will be used for the non-crop areas or before planting. Okay, so this will burn the rice too, so this cannot be recommended for rice. And propanil, this is also the post-emergence herbicide for rice. Okay, it is not a pre-emergence one. The next question is, enriched firm, that is farmyard manure, contains firm and SSP in the ratio of. So enriched means it is a specialized compost created by mixing the standard farmyard manure as well as with the single superphosphate. So why we are adding like this? So why we are adding SSP to FUM means, usually what happens during the decomposition of animal urine and dung, the urea breaks down into ammonia, right? So the urea will be there in the dung. So that will be breaks down into ammonia. Okay. So there will be the significant loss of nitrogen. So what happened? SSP act as a preservative which bind with the ammonia and transforming into stable ammonium sulfate, so that it will prevent the nitrogen from the volatilizing into air. So that's why we are adding SSP into film, right? And normal film is relatively low in phosphorus. So adding a single super phosphate significantly raises the total phosphorus content. That is also one of the reason. Okay, so they asked the composition of these two. 5 is to 1. If you are adding 5 part of film means 1 part of single super phosphate can be added. Okay, so 5 is to 2, 3, these will be generally higher in proportion. So this is the commonly used one. 5:1 is the ratio that can be commonly recommended. Okay, in enriched film as film and SSP composition. Understood? The next question is, which one of the following instrument is used to measure relative humidity? So the options are anemometer, maximum thermometer, minimum thermometer, and wet and dry bulb thermometer. So the correct answer is D, wet and dry bulb thermometer, which is also known as psychrometer. So if there is an option given like psychrometer, you should also pick the one, psychrometer. Okay. Sometimes it can be replaced by psychrometer. So however, they can keep. So this is the particular instrument generally used to measure the relative humidity and dew point of the air. And it also measures the ambient air temperature. And remember one thing, in this thermometer, there are two different things are there. One is a dry bulb thermometer, usually measures the standard ambient air temperature. And wet bulb thermometer has the bulb, which is usually wrapped in the wet cloth. Okay, so that it could measure the cooling effect caused by the water evaporation. Okay, so by comparing the difference between the two, using some psychrometric charts, you can easily determine the moisture content in the atmosphere, right? And what are all the others? Anemometer, it is generally used to measure the wind speed, right? And based on the cuff's rotation and maximum minimum thermometer and all, maximum thermometer used to measure the maximum temperature uh, based on the principal mercury expansion, and minimum thermometer used to measure the minimum temperature based on the principal alcohol contraction. Okay, so these three are having no more relevance with the relative humidity measurement. So the correct answer is wet and dry bulb thermometer. And the next question is average composition of humus in food. So what is humus? It is generally the stable organic matter in the soil. How it is formed? It is formed by the complete decomposition of plant and animal residues. Okay, so this particular thing is having three more element, carbon, oxygen, as well as nitrogen. So the answer is all the above. Okay, so its elemental composition is 58% carbon. So please note it down. 58% carbon is there in humus, and 3 to 6% of nitrogen will be there. Okay, with the remainder consisting of oxygen, hydrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. And remember one thing, the ratio of carbon to nitrogen typically ranges from 10:1 to 12:1. Okay, if there is a 10 part means 10 part of carbon means there is a 1 part of nitrogen. So in that ratio it will be there. Okay, so ratio I am telling. Percentage wise means it is a 58% of carbon and nitrogen will be around 2 to 3% and remaining will be oxygen, phosphorus, hydrogen and tau. Okay. The next question is an example of concentrated organic manure. What is concentrated organic manure? This is the plant or animal derived fertilizer that will be having a higher nitrogen. But this is the low bulk manure. Okay. And opposite of this is the high bulk manure that will be having the lower nitrogen composition. Okay. So the options given for this are film, goat manure, oil cake, and poultry manure. So the correct option is oil cake. What is oil cake? This is the solid residue generally left after the oil extraction is done from the seeds. And this will be having two more types. One is edible cake, another one is non-edible one. What is edible one? That can be fed to cattle. Example, groundnut cake and coconut cake and all. And non-edible cake means that neem cake and castor cake which cannot be fed to cattle. So that's why that is a non-edible cake. And also animal-based meals will be there. So concentrated organic menus are oil cake and animal-based meals. What is animal-based meals? That is blood meal and what is that? And fish meal. They are all animal-based meal. Okay, oil cake, blood meal, fish meal, and all. They may be having the nitrogen 2.5 to 8%. That is a very low bulk manure, having the high nitrogen. Okay, and film, goat manure, poultry manure. These are all generally the bulky manure. They are having very less nitrogen. Okay. The next question is carbon is to nitrogen ratio of farmyard manure. And the options are 20 is to 1, 40 is to 1, 50 is to 1, and 80 is to 1. And the correct answer is 40 is to 1. There will be the 40 part of carbon and 1 part of nitrogen. Okay. The next question is paddy takes nitrogen in the form of. Options are nitrate, nitrogen, ammonia, and nitrite. So the correct answer is ammonia. So why paddy usually grown in flooded or anaerobic soil, right? So there will not be having any oxygen. So under no oxygen condition, nitrification usually stops. Okay, so the nitrate converts back to ammonia. That is the dominant nitrogen form. So rice roots have air and chyma, but rhizosphere stays reduced. So ammonia is also the less leachable in the flooded soil. So this is the form of nitrogen that usually be taken by paddy. Okay, and why others are wrong? So nitrite, which is toxic to plants even in the small amounts. Okay, because it happens usually in the aerobic condition. So nitrogen, which is the atmospheric nitrogen. So only the legumes with the rhizobium can fix the nitrogen. So rice cannot use nitrogen directly. And nitrate, which is generally preferred by upland crops like wheat, maize, cotton, and all. So in flooded paddy, nitrate is lost, right, through the denitrification and the leaching process. So rice can take nitrate in the aerobic condition, but under transplanted or flooded condition, ammonia uptake will be the dominant one. Okay. The next question is oil content of sunflower. And the options given for this are 16%, 26, 36, 46. So the correct answer is 36%. Okay, so it is a very important oilseed crop. So the oil content in sunflower seed generally, varied from 35 to 45%. It will be depending on the variety and the growing conditions. Okay, so here the standard value taken is about 36%. It will be asked in most of the agricultural competitive exams. Okay, and why other options are wrong? That also we have to discuss. So 16% is generally it's very low. So usually the soybean oil content is from 18 to 20%. Okay, if they asked soybean means we can pick this answer around 18 to 20% is the approximate oil content of soybean. Okay, and 46%, which means this is generally higher than the oil content of sunflower, and this will be seen in the groundnut and sesame and all that. So that will be ranging from 45 to 50%. Understood? The next question is, which one of the following crop is not commonly transplanted? And the options given for this are brinjal, bendi, chilies, and tomato. What is transplanting? We will generally raise the seedlings in nursery, Then after sometimes what we will do, we will be shifting those seedlings to the main field. So that can be done for the small seeded crops and all. Okay. But the answer is bendy for this. It is not commonly transplanted. Since they have a big seeds, so they can easily germinate in 3 to 4 days. And also very importantly, it is having the taproot system, which doesn't like disturbance. So once you disturb the taproot, it will not grow further. Okay. Even though you are transplanting in the main field, no, there will be the symptoms like wilting and yield will not be good enough. So there may be some problem. So it's always the direct sown. We will directly sown the seeds. Okay, so that's why bendy is not commonly transplanted. And why others? Brinjal and chili, tomato, these will be having very small, tiny seeds, right? So those can be easily transplanted. And nursery days will be around 25 to 35 days. Okay, so the directly sown seeds are bendy, radish, carrot, and all. Okay, transplanted one is brinjal, chilies, tomato, and cauliflower, and onion and all. Why bendy is not transplanted? As I said before, the seed size is also big, and we can go for the direct sowing. And taproot system is also one of the biggest problem, because once it is damaged, it will not grow further. Okay, and also the germination will be happened very soon, 3 to 4 days after sowing. So no need of doing the transplantation and all. Okay. The next question is, basin irrigation is commonly adopted for which crop? The options are cardamom, cabbage, coconut, coffee. What is basin irrigation? Basin irrigation is nothing but circular or rectangular basins usually made around the individual trees. Okay, so that will be generally best for widely spaced perennial fruit or plantation crop, right? So here the answer is coconut. So basin irrigation is generally followed for coconut, because coconut spacing is around 7.5 meter by 7.5, and one basin per palm usually hold 200 to 300 liter of water. Okay, so that's why it is best for basin irrigation. Understood? And why others are wrong? Cardamom, which is the hill crop, it generally needs sprinkler or drip irrigation on slope. Okay, so basin is not possible here because it may cause the waterlogging condition. Okay, and cabbage, which is the vegetable, and it requires close spacing, right, at 45 by 45 centimeter, like 1.5 feet spacing. It requires for cabbage. So it generally uses the furrow irrigation, not the basin one. Okay. So if you are go for a basin means the land will be wasted for this, because it requires only the very small spacing, 45 by 45 centimeter. And coffee, it is a hill plantation, which again requires sprinkler or drip irrigation. And basin may cause the soil erosion and slope. So basin irrigation is generally optimum for coconut and also mango, citrus, guava and all, because they are the wide spaced trees, so individual watering may require. Furrow irrigation is generally optimum for potato, cabbage and all. Okay, and coffee, tea, cardamom, this will require sprinkler irrigation. Okay, because they will grow in the slopy land and undulating terrain. If you are going for a basin means that will be wasting one. Okay. The next question is, what the soluble phosphatic fertilizer is, and the options are phosphate, DAP, diammonium phosphate, single superphosphate, and orthophosphoric acid. So the correct answer is orthophosphoric acid, because it is a water soluble phosphorus 100%. It will be dissolving in water immediately. Okay, so it is a liquid phosphorus fertilizer, and it is having approximately 85% P2O5 phosphate. Okay, so it is fully water soluble, and this can be generally used in drip or fertigation. Okay, And rock phosphate, it is water insoluble one. And DAP, it is also water soluble. But when it comes to textbook, firstly orthophosphoric followed by DAP. Okay, it is also water soluble, but in exam hierarchy, orthophosphoric followed by DAP followed by SSP for water solubility. In that way, you should remember. Okay, SSP again, it is single superphosphate having 16% phosphate. DAP is having 18 to like 46% phosphate. DAP is having 18 percentage of nitrogen and 46 percentage of phosphate. SSP is having a 16% of phosphate. Okay, so it is only 16% water soluble. Okay, so first is orthophosphoric followed by DAP followed by SSP. So here the answer is orthophosphoric acid. The next question is most commonly followed IFS component for wetland, or what is IFS? Integrated farming system, right? Wetland means the land with the standing water. Mainly it is for the paddy field, right? So here the answer is rice plus fish culture is commonly followed IFS component for wetland. Okay, because this is the classic combo because both need the same flooded condition. Okay, fish can be using the same water and eat the pest and weeds present in the rice also. And their waste fertilizes the rice. So fish waste will be the ammonia. So that will be the fertilizer for the rice. So this can be the best combo commonly used IFS component for the wetland. And why others are wrong? So apiculture, it generally requires flowers, right? So in that area, we cannot keep the stagnated water. Okay, so rice needed the flooded condition, but if you are keeping these two means like these may fall in the water and it will die. Okay, it is generally not practical one. And also apiculture generally fits with the horticulture and orchards one that require more and more flowers. And again, the rice plus sericulture is not the correct answer because mulberry is the upland irrigated crop. Sericulture is the silkworm, rearing silkworm on mulberry, right? So that is a specific subject. It doesn't go with the flooded rice, right? Then rice culture plus dairy. Dairy again, fits better with the irrigated upland or garden land, IFS, where the fodder crops like maize are grown, but wetlands have a limited fodder, and this is not the correct answer for this. So the correct answer is rice plus fish culture. The next question is tillage under saturated condition is termed as, and the options given for this are contour tillage, strip tillage, wet tillage, and deep tillage. What is saturated condition? So here the soil pores will be completely filled with water. That is standing water on field, right? So this kind of tillage is called wet tillage. Okay, the correct answer is wet tillage and also known as puddling. And it is only done for rice to create the impervious layer so that the percolation will get reduced and the weeds will get controlled and this will make the transplanting easy. Okay, and why others are wrong? Contour tillage, it is generally done along the contour lines on the slope. Okay, so it is generally happening in dry or upland condition. And strip tillage is only, tilling only narrow strips where the seeds are sown. The rest of the field will be undisturbed. Okay, and this is not for this question. And deep tillage, here the tillage can be done up to 1 or 2 feet depth using chisel or plow. So this will break the hot pan, and this can be done in dry soil only before the rains. So the saturated kind of tillage is called wet tillage. Okay. The next question is recommended seed rate for sugarcane per hectare is. So they ask for 2 better sugarcane. So the options are 75,000, 65,000, 55,000, and 45,000. And the correct answer is 75,000. So the recommended seed rate for 2-bedder sugarcane set is generally 30 to 37,500 set per acre, right? So if you are converting acre to hectare means you need to multiply with 2.5, right? So it may be around 75,000 to 90,000 sets per hectare. So here the option given is 75,000. So this is the correct option. Okay, so this will provide a target bud density like per hectare to ensure the uniform and optimum plant stand. Okay,